Okay. So what this is going to help you with is there's two words in math that a lot of people get confused. Very common to get these two words mixed up, and that we're going to use both of these words today. And so hopefully this is going to help you remember that. So underneath this arrow, if you'll write the word factor, okay, factor. Okay, the reason it has an arrow going into the 6 is because factor is all of the numbers that go into 6 evenly. So that's why there's an arrow going into it. So what would be an example of a factor of 6? A number that goes into 6 evenly. Lucas? 3. So put a 3 under here as an example of that would be a factor of 6. That's why it's got an arrow going in. Okay, an arrow going in. Now, I can list all the factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Because those are all the things that go into 6. Okay, so those are the factors. Now, on this side, you're going to write the word multiple. Okay, and lots of people get these two words mixed up, factor and multiple. Okay, multiple sounds like what word? Multiple sounds like what word? Multiply. Okay? That's because a multiple of 6 means I have taken 6, I have multiplied it, and I've gotten something from 6 by multiplying it. So what would be a multiple of 6? I take 6 and I multiply it and I get a number. Haley?
1.
I take 6, I multiply it, and I get a number from it. Macy?
12.
12 would be a multiple of 6. Okay, 60 would be a multiple of 6. 18 would be a multiple of 6. 36 would be a multiple of 6, and so on. Okay, could I say, like, I could say give me all the factors, obviously. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Can I say give me every single multiple of 6?
That doesn't work.
Can you do that? You can't do that. It's an infinite amount.
No.
6 times a trillion is 6 trillion. That's a multiple of 6. So we could literally sit here all day and list all the multiples of 6. So factors and multiples are very different. You can give every factor of a number. You can't give all the multiples because it goes on forever. We could literally sit here and just keep naming them on and on and on and on. So multiples, very different from factors, but lots of people get the two words confused. All right, I'm going to take this down and put something else up here, but I want you to write what I'm getting ready to write right underneath what you just read on your sheet. Okay, so if you'll write least common multiple. Least common multiple. And then we're going to put in parentheses capital LCM. Most of the time in math, you're just going to see it written LCM because that's a lot shorter than writing least common multiple, but just so you know what it stands for. Okay, least common multiple is usually just a capital L and a capital C and a capital M, LCM. Okay, and I'm going to explain what that means, and then we're going to cut out something and glue it in your thing.
That's almost my initials.
All right, least common multiple. So least common multiple is the smallest number, and I'm going to do the number symbol. You can write it out if you want to. It's the smallest number that two numbers go into. Okay, it's the smallest number that two numbers go into. Okay, the smallest number that two numbers go into is the least common multiple. And again, we're going to look at this in a minute, farther, but it's just understanding it's the smallest number that two numbers go into. Okay, the next thing I'm going to give you is this purple sheet right here. And this purple sheet is actually for two people. And so what I want you to do, like for instance, I'm going to give it to Hannah, and she's going to cut it right here. And she's going to keep half the sheet, and she's going to give the other half to Macy. Okay? So at each table, we'll do that. And then, Caitlin, you can cut yours in half, and I'll give the other half to Graham. But you'll just cut it right here. Okay? Cut it right there. And you keep a half and give the other half to the other person at your table. And then I'll tell you what to do next with it. Okay, so again, you're cutting it right here. Okay, cut it right here. Cut it right here, and you each keep half of it. Okay, and I'll see right here, and then you just keep half.
Lucas, you did it.
Okay, so right here, and then you just keep half. Okay, so right here, and then you just keep half. Alright, so y'all are cutting it right here. And each of you keep half the sheet. And then Graham, Caitlin's gonna give you the other half of hers. Okay, so don't do anything else. After you have your half, just wait for the next step. Okay, so just, you need half the sheet and the other person needs the other half. And I said, don't do anything else. I said, don't do anything else. Just said that. I'll take it. Okay, so all you're doing is you need this right here and you're not doing anything else in that. You're just sitting there with this right here. Okay. First of all, I need you to quit talking. Alright, secondly, what I need you to do is this. You are going to cut this out. So you both will have the exact same thing. You're cutting this out and then don't do anything else. Okay, cutting this out. Who did I just pick this up from? Oh. So you're cutting this out right here. Okay, and then just leave. Oh, no, it's green. Okay, and then if you will, just leave your straps. I'll get them later. So you're just cutting that out and then don't do anything else. And then, yeah, keep it right. Okay, so you should have this right here. So everybody should have the exact same thing. Once you cut off the edge, everybody should have this right here in front of them. Okay, BJ, let me come back over. Just leave it right now. Okay, I need everybody to have this right here. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is you'll see that it has a dotted line. You're gonna fold on that dotted line and you're gonna fold so that the blank part is on the inside. Okay, the blank part is on the inside. So fold it to where the blank part is on the inside. Okay, and then again, don't do anything else yet. Just fold it and then I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, so you need this right here. Okay, and if you'll fold it, okay, please quit talking. To where you're looking at the darker side. So one side, the lines aren't as dark as the other. You want it on the side, you want to be looking at the side where it's got the super dark lines. Okay, and you want to have the fold over here so it's like a book. So it's like you're opening it like a book. Okay, so the fold's over here. Now, what you want to do next is you want to take your scissors and you're going to cut from here into the fold. Okay, this is not getting cut at all. This back part is staying just like it is. So you're just cutting from here into the fold. So you'll do that on each one of those super dark lines. So right here to here, right here to here.
So you open it up, and then.
Cut it from here to here. Okay, so you'll only borrow some.
So like this? Okay, so you cut the middle one?
Okay, so you should have this right here, okay, when you're done. Again, the back is still a solid piece. Okay, just a second, BJ. Sit down. All right, so it should look just like this, okay, and the back is solid. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this in. If you have room underneath where you wrote, you can put it there, okay, and you want it to go up and down like this. If you don't have room because you wrote down farther than that, then just put it over here. Okay, and again, we're going to glue it in just like that so that it opens like a book. Okay, and again, you can put it on the page where we wrote if you've got space down there, or you can put it over here, and again, you want to put it up and down like that. So glue that in. Okay, glue that in, and then I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, shh, again, y'all don't need, hold on a second. We don't need to talk, okay? And again, if you don't have some of the supplies, you need to replenish those, okay? Because remember that we told you the supplies you need for 6th grade, and that means for the whole year. So for instance, if you lose your glue stick or run out or whatever, that means you need to get another one, because that means you're gonna need those things. So make sure if you've lost something or whatever, you've used it up. I mean, it could be later on in the year where you've used up your glue stick or whatever, then get another one, because you'll need them. Okay, so on the sheet where you just put your thing, so for instance, this is mine. Okay, and our folds over here. If you have room above it, you can write above it. If you don't, just write it somewhere next to this. But this is gonna be the LCM, or least common multiple, LCM shortcuts. Okay, LCM shortcuts. Again, you can write it above it if you have room. If you don't, just write it next to it or whatever. But this is the least common multiple shortcut. So this is going to be kind of like the thing we made for the divisibility rules, where we're going to put 3 different things that can happen with numbers. That there's going to be a thing you can do that's going to help you quickly find the least common multiple for any set of numbers. Okay, so you're going to need 3 different colored pencils. So pick whatever colors you want. And so we're going to start with whatever color you pick first. Okay, whatever color you pick first, we're going to go to the front of this top flap. Okay, so it's going to be shut. Okay, it's going to be shut, and we're going to the top of this first flap. Okay, the front of this first flap. All right, if you will write on here 5 and 8. 5 and 8 is going on the front of that top flap, on the front. So it's shut right now. It's shut, and you're writing on the front of this first flap, writing 5 and 8.
Like that?
Yes. Okay, and then you're going to open it up. Okay, you're going to open it up, and then we're going to write right here. Okay, we're going to write underneath it. Okay, so here it says 5 and 8. We're opening it, and we're writing right here. Now I'm going to tell you, you're going to need to write kind of small because you don't have a super huge space. So one thing that will save you room is anytime we are using the word number, if you'll use this, that will save you some space under there, okay? All right, so underneath 5 and 8, write this. If 2 numbers, and again, I'm using the number symbol just to save me some space under there because it's not very big. If 2 numbers only share 1 as a factor, comma, okay, if 2 numbers only share 1 as a factor, okay, so let's look at these 2 numbers. The only thing that goes into 5 is 5 and 1. And the things that go into 8 are 1, 8, 2, and 4. So the only thing they have in common is 1 that goes into both of them, right?
Yeah.
So that's why this is an example of this. If 2 numbers only share 1 as a factor, multiply them. And that's your least common multiple. So what would be our least common multiple for 5 and 8? That's in 40. Okay, so if you have 2 numbers and they fit that situation, that the only factor they have in common is 1, you just multiply them together, and that's your least common multiple. That means that's the smallest number that 5 and 8 both go into evenly. Okay, 40 is the small. Okay, so 40 is the smallest number they both go into evenly. Okay, that's our least common multiple. Okay, so what about 5 and 11? I want the least common multiple of 5 and 11. The only thing that goes into both 5 and 11 that they have in common is 1. So what would be our least common multiple then, Lucas?
It would be,
It'd be 55, yeah. Again, so any set of numbers, if they fit that situation, you just multiply them together, and that is your least common multiple. Okay, so pick a different color, and we're going to go to the front of flap 2. Okay, so pick a different color, and we're going to go to the front of flap 2. Okay, on this one, if you'll write 6 and 30. 6 and 30. Okay, so same thing, we'll lift it up and we'll write behind it. So 6 and 30 is an example of something else that can happen. Okay, 6 and 30. Okay, so again, we're gonna open it up. Underneath it, we're gonna put if one number, okay, please quit talking. If one number goes into the other, comma, if one number goes into the other, so that would be here, 6 goes into 30. Okay, 6 goes into 30. If one number goes into the other, this one's the easiest one of all. The LCM, or the least common multiple, the LCM is the bigger number. Okay, if one number goes into the other, the least common multiple, or the smallest number they both go into, is that bigger number. And so what would be the least common multiple of 6 and 30 if the rule is if one number goes into the other, the answer is the bigger number? That's 30.
Yeah.
So this one, you really don't have any math involved if you know your facts and just know that 6 does go into 30. So what would be the least common multiple of 50 and 100? The least common multiple of 50 and 100. Annika? 100. What's the least common multiple of 6 and 24? 6 and 24, Lucas? 24. Okay, what's the least common multiple of 30 and 60? 60. Okay, so if one number goes into the other, the least common multiple is that bigger number. So there's really no math involved after knowing that one number goes into the other. All right, there's only one other thing that can happen, and that's going to be the last flap. So again, pick one more color. And on this last flap, we're going to write 4 and 10. 4 and 10. Okay, and same thing, we're going to write underneath it. Okay, 4 and 10. Okay, so 4 and 10 is not like this, okay, because they don't just share 1 as a factor. The things that go into 4 are 1, 2, and 4, and the things that go into 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. So what other factor do they share the same besides just 1, Lucas?
2.
They share 2 as well. So that's why it doesn't fit here, and it doesn't fit here because 4 doesn't go into 10. So this is the third shortcut. So this is what happens. Yes.
Can I sit over there?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so 4 and 10. And this one, it's got more writing, so just you're going to have to write really little. Okay, and again, use that number symbol because it'll help save space. Okay, so if 2 numbers share, I just started writing an H instead of a S, hold on. If 2 numbers share more than 1 as a factor. Okay, so we just said that they do because Lucas pointed out that they also share 2. All numbers share 1 because 1 goes into everything. So if 2 numbers share more than 1 as a factor, we see that here. Multiply them. Okay, so we know that would be 40 first of all, but that's not the answer yet. Multiply the 2 numbers, which would be 40. If 2 numbers share more than 1 as a factor, multiply them and divide by the biggest factor. Okay, if 2 numbers share more than 1 as a factor, multiply them and then divide by the biggest factor. Okay, so we know that 4 times 10 is 40, and Lucas just pointed out that 2 also goes into those 2 numbers, so 2 is the biggest factor of those 2 numbers they have in common. So that would be 40 divided by 2. So what would be our least common multiple for 4 and 10? Lucas? 20. So 20 is the smallest number that 4 and 10 both go into evenly. Okay, so every set of numbers is gonna fit one of these three situations. Okay, every set of numbers will fit one of these three. Alright, so after you write that, keep this purple thing where you can see it, but then we're also gonna be on your whiteboard. So keep that where you can see it, and then also let's go to your whiteboard too.
Are we done with that color pencil?
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna take this, does anybody still need this?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna take this off and then just write so shortcut 1 was something like 5 and 8. Shortcut 2 was something like 6 and 30.
Yeah, and
And
then.
shortcut 3 was like 4 and 10.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave those there so we can go back to each one.
Do we need our pencils?
Okay, all you need is your purple thing and your whiteboard. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you two numbers. All we have to do is figure out which one it's like, and then we can find our least common multiple. And I'm gonna show you how several of the shortcuts we've learned last chapter you're still gonna use them. That's why we learned them, because it's gonna help you do this a lot faster. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 3 and 10. Okay, so again, all we need to do is figure out which one it's like. So 3 and 10, they only share 1 as a factor? Does 3 go into 10? Or do they share more than 1 as a factor? Which one of these three things is 3 and 10 like? Faxon?
5 and 8.
It's like the first one. They only share 1 as a factor. Lucas and Laird, please quit communicating with each other. Not Lucas. Knox, sorry. Faxon. So if two numbers only share 1 as a factor, we do what?
Multiply them.
So the answer is
Oh, 40. Oh no, 30. Sorry, 30.
30. 30 is our least common multiple. If they only share 1 as a factor, you just multiply the two numbers together. So 30 is our least common multiple for 3 and 10. That's the smallest number they both go into. Okay, let's try this one. This one you're going to be able to use several shortcuts we've learned. So let's do let's do 12 and 30. 12 and 30. Okay, so do they only share 1 as a factor? 12 goes into 30, or they share more than just 1 as a factor? What would it be like, Annika?
It would be like 6 and 3.
12 goes into 30?
No. It'd be like 5 times 5 and 3.
It's shortcut 3. Okay, and again, the reason it's shortcut 3 is because these two numbers share more than just 1 as a factor. Okay, they share more than 1 as a factor. Okay, shh. So now you're going to use another shortcut. So we know we have to multiply the two numbers together. So you know this shortcut, 12 times 3 out of 0. 12 times 3 out of 0. So everybody do that first. 12 times 3 out of 0. So what do we get when we have 12 times 3 out of 0? Haley?
360.
Everybody write down 360. Okay, now we need the biggest number that goes into both of these numbers. What is the biggest number they share? So 12 is 1, 12, 3, 4, 2, 6. 30 is 1, 30, 2, 15, 3, 10, 5, 6. So what's the biggest factor they have the same? What's the biggest number that goes into both 12 and into 30?
6.
6. Put 6 into 360 really quickly with short division, super fast. So we use our saving zeros to the end shortcut, and then we've also used short division. So what would be our least common multiple for 12 and 30? Lucas, you're putting 6 into 360.
Oh, 60?
60 is your answer. Okay, 6 goes into 36 6 times and then 0. 60. Okay, let's try another one. I'll board this one off. Hold on. If I don't touch it for a minute, it goes off. All right, what about 6 and 24? Okay, 6 and 24. Okay, they only share 1 as a factor. 6 goes into 24, or they share more than 1 as a factor. Which one would fit with this one, Annika?
6 and 30.
6 goes into 24, so our answer is look at your shortcut 2. If one number goes into the other, the answer is the
24.
bigger number, 24. Okay, if one number goes into the other, you already have your answer. The answer is the bigger number. So the least common multiple, or the smallest number that 6 and 24 both go into, is 24.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would it also be like on the 4 and 10 because 6 goes in 6 and 24?
No, because it fits this situation. So if you get here and you still have to pass it, then you go on to this one.
Okay.
But this one's because 6 goes into 24. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's do, again, you're going to be able to use several shortcuts that we've learned. All right, so what about 15 and 20? 15 and 20. They only share one as a factor. 15 goes into 20, or they share more than one as a factor. Which one would fit with 15 and 20? 15 and 20, Daxton. 4 and 10. 3, yeah, 3. So again, use your shortcut for 15 times 2 out of 0. 15 times 2 out of 0. So what's 15 times 2 out of 0, Annika?
300.
300. And then we need the biggest number that goes into both 15 and 20. What do they have in common besides 1? What else also goes into both 15 and into 20, Lucas? 5. Using short division, put 5 into 300 very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Daxton? 60. All right, let's try another one. Okay, what about 25 and 75? Okay, they only share one as a factor. 25 goes into 75, or they share more than one as a factor. 25 and 75. Annika.
5 and 8.
They share more than one as a factor. 25 and 75. If you know money, you should know this answer. 25 and 75. Lucas.
4 and 10.
No. 25 goes into 75. Y'all should know that from money. Three quarters makes 75 cents. So 25 goes into 75. So what would be our least common multiple? Daxton.
Oh, it's shortcut 2. Oh,
Yeah. So then our answer would be what?
75.
Daxton.
Oh, 75.
Yeah, again, if one number goes into the other, the answer is the bigger number. If one number goes into the other, the answer is the bigger number. Okay? What about this? 7 and 8. 7 and 8. They share more than one as a factor? I mean, they don't share more than one as a factor. 7 goes into 8, or they share more than one as a factor. Which one would fit with 7 and 8? 7 and 8. Lucas?
1.
1. And so we just multiply them. So what would be our least common multiple for 7 and 8? 7 and 8. Haley?
Wait,
56. 56. Okay, so again, every set of numbers will fit into one of these 3 situations, like 5 and 8, like 6 and 30, or like 4 and 10. Okay, let's see. Let's do this one. Let's do 14. Let me switch colors because it's starting to get all jumbled. Let's do 14 and 21. 14 and 21. We want the least common multiple of 14 and 21. So they only share one as a factor. 14 goes into 21, or they share more than one as a factor. Which one would fit with 14 and 21? Lucas?
3.
They share more than one as a factor. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, be careful, multiply 14 times 21. Okay, be careful and multiply 14 times 21 and see what you get. 14 times 21.
Mm.
14 times 21. Daxton?
105.
14 times 21, you know the answer is going to have a 4 in the ones place because 4 times 1 is 4.
Oh, 104?
14 times 21. Graham?
294.
294. So everybody write down 294. Okay, write down 294. And then we still need to divide by the biggest thing that goes in a both. So what is the biggest number they have in common? Think about 14. 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. Think about 21. 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. So what's the biggest thing that goes into both? Graham?
7.
7. Okay, again, using short division, you can quickly put 7 into 294. Okay, you can quickly put 7 into 294 using short division. And so what would be our least common multiple for 14 and 21, Annika?
42.
42 is correct. Okay, 42. Okay, let's do 20 and 25. 20 and 25. They only share one as a factor. 20 goes into 25, or they share more than one as a factor. 20 and 25. Daxton.
Shortcut 4? I mean, shortcut 3.
Yeah, shortcut 3. All right, he meant that it starts with 4 and 10. All right, so again, use your multiplying shortcut. 25 times 2 out of 0. 25 times 2 out of 0. So what do we get for 25 times 2 out of 0? 500. Okay, so everybody write down 500. And then we need to divide by the biggest number that goes into both. What's the biggest number that goes into both 20 and into 25? What do they share? That's the biggest number they share. Daxton?
5.
5. Now that's an easy problem. 5 into 500 would be, Annika?
100.
100. That's our least common multiple. Okay, what about 3 and 30? Okay, they only share one as a factor. 3 goes into 30, or they share more than one as a factor. 3 and 30. 3 and 30. Lucas.
Like shortcut 3.
3 goes into 30. So our answer would be 30. Yeah, and that's the easiest one. If one number goes into the other, you have the answer. It's the bigger number. If one number goes into the other, it is the bigger number. Okay, what about 6 and 8? 6 and 8. They only share one as a factor. 6 goes into 8, or they share more than one as a factor. 6 and 8. Haley.
They share 2.
So it's what shortcut? Which is the one that share more than one as a factor?
Shortcut 3.
Right, so we're gonna multiply them together first. So hopefully you know that fact from memory, 6 times 8. 6 times 8. And then we need to divide by the biggest thing that goes into both. So what's the biggest thing that goes into both 6 and into 8? Daxton?
2.
2. So divide that answer by 2. And there is your least common multiple. So what would be our least common multiple, Hannah? 24. 24. Okay. If you will grab a pencil, and I'm going to show you the fastest and easiest way to do this homework, okay? And this will save you a ton of time if you'll do it the way I'll show you to do it. So you'll just need a pencil, and we're going to look at a couple of the problems for homework together.
Can we put our whiteboards away?
Can we put everything else up?
Okay, right now don't worry about it. Right now just leave it, you can just leave it all out for a minute. We'll put it up in a second. So right now just put your name on this, okay? Put your name on this, and I'm going to show you the fastest and easiest way to do this. There's 2 right there. Okay, so again, put your name on it. Y'all don't need to worry about picking stuff up, y'all. I'm going to leave you a couple of minutes at the end. You can get all your stuff put up. Okay, so put your name on this. We can that You can that design. All right, so put your name on this. Okay, and I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. Okay, instead of doing it like, okay, let me do problem 1, let me do problem 2, let me do problem 3, and so on, don't do it that way. Okay, don't do it that way. This is what you want to do. You want to do it by shortcut. So you want to go to shortcut 1. Shortcut 1 is if they only share 1 as a factor. So where's the first time you see that? So start with number 1 and see where do you see for the first time they only share 1 as a factor. Thaxton?
Number 1.
Number 1. So you know that if they only share one as a factor, you multiply them. So don't say it out loud, just multiply those two numbers together and there's your answer. Okay? I would go through this sheet and find the other places that they're shortcut 1. There's 2 more places. There's 2 more places where they only share one as a factor, so you're just going to multiply them. Okay? Then I would go back and do shortcut 2. Remember, shortcut 2 is one number goes into the other, so the answer is the bigger number. So for instance, look at number 3. Number 3 is one number goes into the other, so the answer is the bigger number. So I'd go through and do shortcut 2 on all of them. And then all you have left is shortcut 3. So I would do it that way because you're not switching your brain back and forth. You're like, okay, let me find shortcut 1, let me do all those, okay, got that done. Then let me go do shortcut 2, got that done. And then all you have left is shortcut 3. So your brain's not switching back and forth between, wait, that shortcut 1, that shortcut 2, oh, that shortcut 2 again, that shortcut 3. You're not going back and forth, you're just concentrating on one, getting all of those done, and then coming back and doing what's left. Now, don't forget to use your shortcuts. Look at number 8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that's shortcut 3. Okay, everybody look at number 8. So the first thing you have to do is multiply them together. Use your 0 shortcut. That's 9 times 3 out of 0. What's 9 times 3 out of 0? 270.
Add it to your
Okay.
270.
So make sure, don't forget to use those shortcuts. You'll do it again on number 10. You're going to start by doing 16 times 2 out of 0. So don't forget those. The whole point of learning those is to save you time when you're doing math. Okay? So make sure that you remember those when you're doing that. So again, I would go through and do shortcut 1, get done with it. Go through and do shortcut 2, be done with shortcut 2, and then go back and do shortcut 3. Okay? And this is one of those days, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen today, where you don't have a study hall before I see you again. Okay? You don't have a study hall before I see you again because I have you, y'all are the touch period tomorrow, right? Yes. Okay, so y'all are the touch period tomorrow. So that means that, so you need to make sure and do this before I see you again. This should not take you long though. Again, do it by shortcut. So go through and find shortcut 1, then shortcut 2, then shortcut 3. And I left you a couple of minutes because I know you got to get stuff put up. Also, don't forget tomorrow's Friday, so you'll need to make sure you have your tickets with you if you want to fit any in. Yes. Okay, just read them. Make sure we wrote down what they were. Shortcut 1 is the only share one is a factor, you multiply them. Shortcut 2, one number goes into the other, and it's a bigger number. Shortcut 3, they share more one is a factor, multiply them and divide by the base.
He just knows that like so fast, and I'm like,
Multiply them.
I don't even know what she said.
yeah, I know, that's what I was like.
The only things that go into this are 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1 and 7. The only thing they have in common is 1. 1 and 7 are the only things that go into 1 and 7. 1 and 7. So the only thing they have in common is 1.
Wait, hold on, that's it.
I'm gonna come right behind you and drop the scrap. Alright, I'm coming around and getting your scrap. And then just make sure, especially when you have colored pencils and everything out, make sure you've got all of those. You've got your scissors, you've got your glue, all those things that we had out.
Jackson.
Okay, and y'all have wellness?
Yeah.
No.
That's kind of short because there's
Yeah, we're all gonna do it.
He did.
Alright,
Something sad.
since y'all have wellness, I'm gonna let you go like 1 minute early. Just be quiet for 6th grade because most of y'all gotta go that way. Because I know y'all gotta get school and everything. Saxon, what'd you say?
I don't know. I was